From translation. Net, New English Translation. This 255th day of the year. Today we are reading passages Ezekiel 40 through 42. Ezekiel chapter 40, verses 1 to 49. In the 25th year of our exile, at the beginning of the year, on the 10th day of the month, in the 14th year after the city was struck down, on this very day the hand of the Lord was on me, and he transported me to a land that is laid out evenly with high mountains. I saw it from a distance. The area around it was very familiar. Then he transported me to the gate that faced the way leading toward the city. When he brought me there, I saw a man who looked like bronze. He was standing in the gateway with a linen cord in his hand and a measuring stick in his hand. The man said to me, "Son of man, watch carefully, listen closely, and pay attention to everything I am going to show you. For that is why you are here. I see a wall all around the temple complex. In the man's hand was a measuring stick 10.5 feet long. He measured the wall, which was 10.5 feet thick and 10.5 feet high. Then he went to the gate facing the east. He went up its steps and measured the threshold of the gate. It was 10.5 feet deep. The alcoves on either side of the gate opening were 10.5 feet wide. The walls supporting them were 5.25 feet long. The recessed chambers were 10.5 feet on either side, and the steps leading up to them were 5.25 feet long. Then he measured the porch of the gate. It was 10.5 feet deep. The walls of the gate were 5.25 feet on either side. The porch was 10.5 feet wide. Then he measured the porch of the gate. It was 8.75 feet, and its pilasters were 2.1 feet. The porch of the gate faced the temple. There were 3 alcoves on either side of the gate. The measurement was the same for all 3. There was one measurement for the pilasters on either side. He measured the width of the opening of the gate. It was 17.5 feet wide, and its length was 23 feet. There was a barrier in front of the alcoves, 5.25 feet wide all around. The recessed chambers were 10.5 feet on either side. Then he measured the gate on the north side. Its length was 23 feet, and its width was 17.5 feet. The court's gate facing north was accompanied by 3 alcoves on either side. Their measurements, In front of the entrance of the gate leading into the inner court, there was a wall, 17.5 feet wide and 211.75 feet long. The alcoves and the pillars had recessed windows all around. The ledges were faced with palm leaf decorations. Then he brought me to the outer court. I saw chambers and a pavement made all around the court. There were 30 chambers facing the pavement. The pavement that was alongside the gates was coextensive with the length of the gates. This was the lower pavement. Then he measured the width of the court on the east side as well as the north side. It was 175 feet. The man measured the length and width of the gate leading to the inner court. The gate that faced the north was there as well, on the north side. He measured its length and width. Its 3 alcoves on each side had pilasters. Its porch was 8.75 feet wide and 5.25 feet deep. Its windows, its porch, and its palm tree decorations had the same measurement as those of the gate that faced east. 7 steps led up to it, and its porch faced the inner court. The inner courtyard had a gate toward the north. It was identical in measurement to the south gate. One went through it. In the same manner as the gate that faced south, he led me to the south gate. He measured it. It had the same measurements as its others. Its alcoves, it had 3 on either side, and its pilasters and its porches had the same measurements as those of the first gate. Its length was 50 cubits and its width was 12.5 cubits. 7 steps led up to it. Its porch faced the inner court, and it had palm tree decorations on its pilasters, 1 on either side. The inner courtyard had a gate on the south. He measured it from gate to gate on the south side. It was 175 feet. Then he brought me to the inner courtyard of the south gate. He measured the south gate. It had the same measurements as its others. Its alcoves, its pilasters, and its porches had the same measurements as its others, 7 meters long and 3.5 meters wide. There were porches all around. They were 8.75 feet long and 1.75 feet wide. Its porches faced the outer courtyard. There were palm trees on its pilasters, and there were 8 steps leading up to it. Then he brought me to the inner courtyard on the east side. He measured the gate. It had the same measurements as its others, and its alcoves, its pilasters, and its porches. It had windows all around it. Its length was 50 cubits, and its width was 12.5 cubits. Its porch faced the outer courtyard. There were palm trees on its pilasters on either side, and there were 8 steps leading up to it. Then he brought me to the north gate. He measured it. It had the same measurements as its others, as well as its alcoves, its pilasters, and its porches. There were windows all around it. Its length was 50 cubits, and its width was 12.5 cubits. The porch faced the outer courtyard. There were palm trees on the pilasters on either side, and there were 8 steps leading up to it. In the porch of the gate was a chamber for washing the burnt offering. In the porch of the gate there were 2 tables on either side on which to slaughter the burnt offering, the sin offering, and the guilt offering. On the way leading up to the outer court, there were 2 tables on either side of the gate. 4 tables were on either side of the gate. That is, 8 tables on which to slaughter animals. There were also 4 tables of stone masonry, 1.75 feet long and 1.75 feet wide and 1 foot high, for preparing the burnt offering. On these they would lay the instruments with which to slaughter the burnt offering and the other sacrifices. The hooks, 1 foot long, were hung on the wall all around. The tables were for the flesh of the sacrifices. On the outer court, where one goes up to the north gate, there were 2 chambers. One was at the flank of the gate on the north. The other was near the flank on the south. He said to me, "The chamber on the south is for the priests who keep charge of the temple, and the chamber on the north is for the priests who keep charge of the altar. But the men who must be ceremonially clean all have to stay there themselves to offer sacrifices to the Lord. The chamber that faces the way leading up to the north is for the priests who keep charge of the altar. They are the descendants of Zadok, the Levitical priests, who serve the Lord there." He measured the courtyard. It was square, 175 feet by 175 feet. The altar lay in front of the temple. Then he brought me to the porch of the temple and measured the pilasters of the porch. They were 5.25 feet wide on either side. The width of the gate was 14 feet. The sides of the gate were 3.5 feet wide each. The length of the porch was 35 feet, and the width was 19.25 feet. Steps led up to it. There were pillars by the side walls, 1 on each side. Ezekiel chapter 41, verses 1 to 26. Then he brought me to the temple and measured the pilasters. They were 10.5 feet wide on either side. The width of the entrance was 17.5 feet, and the walls adjacent to it were 3.5 feet wide. The entrance was 10.5 feet wide. 9 cubits was the length of the entrance to the temple. He went into the inner room and measured the pilasters of the entrance. They were 3.5 feet wide. The entrance was 10.5 feet wide, and the width of the entrance was 3.5 feet. Then he measured its length. It was 70 feet, and its width was 35 feet. He said to me, "This is the most holy place." He then measured the wall of the temple. It was 10.5 feet thick. The side chambers that went all around the temple were 7 feet wide. The side chambers were in 3 stories of 38 chambers each. They supported themselves on the ledge provided around the temple walls, but were not supported by the corner of the wall. The side chambers surrounding the temple grew narrower as one went up. They were wide at the bottom and narrow at the top. There was a stairway up to the top stories that went through the lower stories. I saw that the temple had a raised platform all around. The foundations of the side chambers were a full rod of 10.5 feet. The width of the outside wall, which was to the side of the side chambers, was 17.5 feet, and so was the floor of the side chambers. There was a 17.5-foot wide area between them all around the house. The side chambers attached to and supporting the temple numbered 90. There were 2 doors leading from the side chambers to the open area. One door faced north and the other south. The open area was 17.5 feet wide all around. The building to the west, which rose high beside the courtyard on the south side to the courtyard, was 87.5 by 122.5 feet. Then he measured the temple. It was 175 feet long. The courtyard and the temple and the wall had a combined length of 175 plus 87. 5 equals 262.5 feet. The width of the temple on the other side from the temple complex and the courtyard was a building with wings. There were open chambers, 87.5 by 175 feet. The thresholds, narrow ledges, and windows, small open spaces surrounding these 3, all had the same measurement. He measured the entrance. It was 87.5 feet wide and 122.5 feet long. The walls were adorned with carved cherubs and palm trees. Each cherub had 2 faces, a man's face toward the palm tree on one side and a young lion's face toward the palm tree on the other side. They were carved on the whole temple all around, from the floor to above the entrance and on the wall of the outer sanctuary. There were carved cherubs and palm trees. The doorway, pedestal, and 2-leaf doors all had carved cherubs. There were palm trees between each of the 2 leaves on the east side. The altar was made of wood, 3 cubits high, and its length was 2 cubits. And it had its corners, and its length and its borders were of wood. And he said unto me, This is the table that is before the Lord. And the temple and the sanctuary had 2 doors, and these doors had 2 leaves apiece, 2 swinging leaves. 2 had 1 leaf, and the other 2 had another leaf. And there were carved cherubims on them, and palm trees, and a carved of a man's face toward the palm tree on this side, and a carved of a lion's face toward the palm tree on that side, carved upon the whole temple round about. And there were narrow windows to the little chambers, and to their pilasters within the gate round about, and likewise to the arches, and windows were round about inward, and upon each pilaster were palm trees. Ezekiel chapter 42, verses 1 to 20. Then he brought me forth into the outer court, by the way toward the north, and he brought me to the chamber that was over against the separate place, and which was before the building toward the north.